Welcome to the Emily the Mystic Show. You're about to walk through a portal that leads to all things mystical, magical, spiritual, and supernatural. I'm your host, Emily. I'm a spiritual mentor, an Akashic Records practitioner and teacher, an intuition development coach, and a galactic channeler. If you're an old soul on a self-discovery and healing journey, you are in the right place. We'll be diving in deep to some of my favorite mystical topics, including manifestation, past lives, the spirit world, energy, and so much more. Get ready to embrace your inner mystic and live your most authentic life possible. The portal is now open. Welcome back to the Emily the Mystic Show for a much requested topic today that I can't wait to get into, which is light language. So many of you reached out to ask if I had a podcast episode on this topic and how I discovered light language, or should I say, how light language found me. And so, of course, I knew that it was time to sit down and film a special solo episode just for you, all about my light language journey. So I can't wait to get into it today. And this is going to be another really cool and interesting conversation about a modality, a practice that's so near and dear to my heart that I find is pretty misunderstood within the spiritual community. And also, I will say that when it comes to light language, you really do need to use your discernment with just who you're tuning into when it comes to light language itself. So we're going to get into that today. Don't worry, and so much more. And so let's hop right on in to talking about what light language is and how you can start discovering perhaps this really cool and interesting spiritual modality in your own life. I mean, I can't really even say that light language is a modality because it's really not. It's not something for me that I was ever taught. Again, light language is something that found me. And so light language to me is truly the language of the soul. So you, of course, you have a soul. I myself have a soul. And my light language is truly the language of my soul that gets transmitted through my human body. So Emily here, she speaks the English language in this body, right? But when I am transmitting higher dimensional messages, higher dimensional frequencies, codes for my soul, they come through in my light language. It's sort of like the universal language of the soul. But because we're all different, our souls are all different. We've all had different soul experiences. I talk a lot about that, especially in my galactic episode, all about our galactic lifetimes. We all are a galactic melting pot from so many different lifetimes of experience all over the universe. And so because of that, we're all going to speak and work with light language in a different way. We all have our own unique vibrational frequency, and that vibrational frequency gets transmitted to you through this podcast, through other work that I use. And you receive the vibrational frequency of other spiritual healers and teachers through their voice, through their podcast, through the work that they do. We are all transmitting a unique frequency. So when I'm working with my light language, you're really getting that frequency in its purest form. And it also allows me to use my light language as sort of like a translator for connecting with galactic groups, galactic beings who, of course, don't speak English, right? They do know how to communicate with us, but they do so telepathically. And so when I use my light language, it's a way to transmit the frequency of some of these beings through my body so that you can get an experience for their frequency as well. So for you, if you're listening to this episode and you're like, oh my gosh, do I have light language? Yes, you absolutely do. You are a channel. You're a human body. You are a soul in a human body, I should say. And because you have this unique gift and ability to be here on this planet in this human body, you still also maintain that connection to your divine nature.
And so when you're connecting with your light language, you are truly connecting to the language of your own soul. And so perhaps this episode today will serve as a bit of an awakening for you, a bit of an opening for you to perhaps tuning into what that looks like for you and tuning into how you might begin connecting with your own light language. It's almost like another way to think of it is if I, Emily, in my human body am a radio dial for different frequencies of the universe, whenever I'm connecting to my light language, I'm tuning the dial and I'm connecting to a different frequency that I'm emitting through my body. And the frequency of sound, the frequency of even movement is so incredibly healing. And so for me, the way that light language comes through, because I'm sure your next question is, well, how does light language come through? For me, light language comes through in a combination of hand movement and hand motion, as well as spoken tone in a specific dialect or dialects that I communicate through, again, my human body, using my voice, using my throat chakra that gets shared to you. I may even do a little light language activation for you at the end of the podcast episode, so keep listening. But until we get there, just to help you understand how light language might get translated through your body, it may come through for you specifically as sound frequency, so words, tones, sung word, humming, any combination of using your throat chakra or your voice. It may come through as a felt sense. So you may feel a frequency in your body. And as you know, other people can pick up on how you're feeling, right? So other people may literally be able to tune into your energy and feel what you're feeling. It may come through as movement and motion. So for me, that's hand movement. But for you, it could be the movement through your body, maybe it through dance or through some other type of movement. And light language may also come through drawing or writing as well for some of my artists here who are listening. Some of you may actually write what are called light codes, which are, again, a frequency that is being transmitted through you writing down a symbol that is really deeply meaningful for you at a soul level. And by looking at that symbol, it may serve as an awakening or something, a cosmic code that unlocks something within you when you look at it. So that, in a nutshell, is light language. Now, how did I get here? Again, how did I discover this? As I was saying before, I did not find light language. It was not something that I was seeking. It was something that sought me. It was something that found me. So in the year of 2022, I went on a really incredible trip with a dear friend of mine to Sedona, Arizona. And from there, we went to Zion National Park in Utah. And when I was in Sedona, I felt so deeply connected to the earth there. And I felt like I was going through a bit of a physical awakening in my body. I couldn't put my finger on what was happening to me. I couldn't verbalize it. I couldn't communicate it. But I just knew that something internally was shifting for me. And so my friend, who is such a dear person and such a great connector to other people who have incredible modalities, had booked me an energy healing and a massage from a known energy healer, massage therapist in the Sedona area. So while I am here in Sedona, and by the way, Sedona, of course, is such a highly activated vortex. There are even vortex spots, these highly energetic spaces and places within the Sedona town, where when you are there, you literally feel yourself getting activated to the frequency of the land. Of course, all the ley lines and so forth, the grids that run underneath Sedona are super high frequency in nature. So when you're there, the fact that your feet are on the ground in that place literally tunes your energy. It unlocks something within you. It shifts something within you. So that for me was the perfect recipe for my body, my energy to get tuned to the land there. And in this massage appointment that I had, I was getting a classic, what I thought was a classic massage. And throughout the course of that experience, I started singing and I started humming during the massage. I am not a singer. I am not a musician by any means. I played the flute when I was in middle school, and that hobby of mine lasted for a few years, but was not something that I continued on in my later years of life. I don't know how to read music. I don't know how to play the piano. I've never played the guitar. So I, again, am not a musician. So the fact that here I'm lying on this massage table and I am like, oh, like singing and humming here on this massage table was just so strange. Again, couldn't verbalize what was going on in my body, had no idea. Of course, I had a spiritual business at the time, as many of you know, and I was teaching about psychic gifts and intuition and so forth and working with the Akashic records. But sometimes these things happen during your spiritual awakening journey where you can't quite put the puzzle pieces together and you can't quite understand things, especially in the moment. And so I went through that experience and I was like, wow, that was incredible. I left the massage. I felt amazing. I felt like a weight had been lifted off of my shoulders. I was starting to kind of hum and tone sounds after the massage experience happened. And then I come back here to Philadelphia after this incredible trip. And I had spent time in Zion National Park as well, which was so amazing. So I get back to Philadelphia and lo and behold, the first appointment that I have on my calendar coming back was an Akashic Records partnership session with someone that I had met through my original Akashic Records certification that I did. And I had not had a partnership reading with this person before. By the way, a partnership reading is where I am doing an energy exchange with someone who is trained in the same modality that I am. So we're not paying each other, but we're both giving each other a reading experience. So I had this appointment with this woman from my certification that I had never met, but we had agreed to do a partnership share with each other. So I get on the call with her, and the first thing she says to me is, "Hi, my name is," and she had introduced herself, and she goes, "I'm a light language channel." At the time, I had no idea what light language was. But of course, this appointment was so divinely guided and so divinely aligned for me. And during that session with this partner that I had found, she helped me begin to awaken those light language codes within myself. And after the session, I told her about my experience in Sedona. I had just been there a couple of days before. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, absolutely. That is your channel starting to open up. That is your light language starting to come through." And I just felt such a deep sense of joy and lightness and playfulness in my body that I could not explain. It was something I never tapped into before. And it felt like a whole new journey in discovering my physical body in a way that I hadn't unlocked yet. So where did that lead me? Well, at the time, I wasn't really seeing a lot of people out there online on social media who were teaching light language or who were offering light language mentorship. I was seeing a couple people do videos where they would do light language activations and healings in video form, or I was hearing light language inspired music by people out there who create light language songs. And I wasn't really drawn to work with anyone in particular, but I knew deep down that this was a journey that I needed to go on myself. And so my light language journey on my own, after those awakening experiences and learning what it was through the help of this dear friend, this dear connection that I had made through my Akashic certification, I began the process of slowly opening up to it on my own. So here's what that looked like for me. So I knew that this was something I wanted to start working with. I knew it was something that was important for me. And the first time I went to tap into it on my own, I kid you not, I go into a spare room that I have here in my apartment. I lie down on a yoga mat and I am like, okay, God, source, the universe, my guides, I am fully surrendering to this light language journey. I am open to whatever needs to come through. And I basically gave my guides the keys to my physical vessel. And during that first experience of just fully surrendering, laying down on this yoga mat, I went into a bit of a meditative state and I felt my body starting to move. I felt myself stretching and I felt my limbs starting to move. And I started feeling called to start using my voice again to hum those tones, to sing those tones that had started coming through in the massage. And it felt like almost like if you've ever had a Kundalini awakening experience, it was very similar to that. I've had that before, but this was different. It sort of felt like this energy that was deep within my belly, my sacral space, my womb space, started to open up, started to awaken, and started to ignite the rest of my energy centers. Almost like all of my chakras were lit up. And like I was feeling this profound sense of high frequency energy just moving up through my body, again, through the womb space and being transmitted through the throat. Now, I don't think it's an accident that within human design, for those of you who know human design, I am a manifesting generator. And I have a defined throat center and a defined sacral. I am a sacral authority. So that means that I follow what my sacral is telling me to do. I follow what lights me up. I follow what my body tells me to do. So the fact that I've discovered this unique energy modality of sorts that allows me to tap into my womb space, my sacral, and transmit frequency through my throat. Oh my gosh, of course that would make so much sense. Of course this would be something that I'm here to share with the world. Now, by no means am I saying that if you are a different human design type or you don't have if you have your sacral chakra undefined or your throat chakra undefined, I'm not saying you can't unlock your light language, but I'm saying that it's going to come through in a different way for you, perhaps, than it does for me, based on your frequency, based on your unique design. And so I began going through a series of self-practices where I would fully surrender to God's source, fully open myself up, go into the meditative state, and just let myself begin to speak, let myself begin to sing, let myself begin to move. And it was in those sacred, quiet moments of time where I started connecting in with my light language frequency. I started beginning to be able to speak different words. I started to be able to recognize and realize that if I use my intention and I set a specific intention for something that I want to translate through light language, that I will be able to say exactly what needs to be said so that frequency can get transmitted to someone like you who may be watching me on a video or listening to me speak. And that was sort of how my light language really unfolded. It was a very natural process, but it took me a lot of time alone to connect with myself, to connect with my guides, to begin to allow this beautiful, sensual, organic, sacral energy to start to get shared through me and to get shared through my body in a way that the human does not always understand, but the subconscious mind understands and the soul understands. Light language really bypasses the conscious mind. So if you've ever seen a light language video on social media, I do a ton of them on my Instagram page. So definitely go there, check that out. Of course, I'm at Emily the Mystic. I try to do one every week or every couple of weeks. And when you're watching my light language videos, you're not going to understand the words that I'm saying. You're not going to understand the movements that I'm making on a conscious level, but in your body, in your soul, you get it. You feel it. It's such a felt sense. And the reason why I feel like this modality is so misunderstood is because it doesn't make sense. And a lot of us, for those of us who have had some sort of religious programming or conditioning, we were taught that speaking in tongues is evil or that it's something we can only do if we are, a priest or we're some like divine disciple of Jesus. But ultimately, light language really is speaking in tongues. And yes, it is a connection to God. It is a connection to your higher self. It is a connection to your soul. But it's a gift that for those of us who feel called to tap into it, and of course, again, we all have access to it if we so desire, can be something so special that the world needs to receive. Because again, it bypasses the conscious mind and it lets us connect into an ancient part of ourselves that we may have forgotten about or that we may have felt disconnected from. And it helps make that connection come back again. So if you're wondering, well, Emily, who are you channeling when you channel light language? I want to address that for a moment. So it really depends on the situation. At first, when I was first starting to tap into my light language, I didn't really know who or what I was channeling. And, that's not ideal when you're connecting with the spirit world. I talk about that all the time. You want to use your discernment. You want to make sure you're channeling the right beings. And so I was really cautious at first to really make sure that this modality was something I was using for myself and not something that I was sharing with other people, because I wanted to get really clear on my connection and really clear on what I was doing. And then I started having specific ascended masters and specific galactic groups step forward to share with me that a specific light language activation that I had channeled was coming from them, or that they were the ones that were transmitting the frequency through my body. And then I started making the connections of, it feels like this when I'm channeling the Pleiadians, versus it feels like this when I'm channeling the Arcturians, versus it feels like this when I'm channeling Goddess Isis, and this when I'm channeling Goddess Freya. I started to learn the nuances between channeling different frequencies. So now I can pick up more easily on who or what I'm channeling. And mostly, for the most part, I tune into and ask who wants to step forward ahead of time, get clarity on who it is before I start the channeling process now. So here's the thing with light language. Again, it is the frequency of the soul. So ideally, it's going to be a super high frequency, but it is channeled through the human vessel. And if, as a human vessel, you are not doing your due diligence to keep your energy field clear, to keep your channel clear, to get rid of entities and negative spirits that are around you or in your field, to get rid of the emotional burdens and baggage and things that you take on from other people throughout the day. If you're not doing your best to keep your channel clear, then your light language, unfortunately, might be compromised. So I am a big proponent of making sure that if you do want to learn how to channel light language, you're doing so in a way that's safe, that's for your highest and best interests, and that's going to make sure that the frequency that you're channeling is of a pure vibration and that's not distorted by baggage, trauma, malevolent beings that might be in your field. If you need to learn more about entities, go listen to my entity episode because I get into that in more detail. But unfortunately, I do want to say that, and again, I want to approach everyone that I meet with clean and pure intentions, right? I always want to make sure that when I'm meeting someone new for the first time, I'm like, yes, I do trust what you're doing. So I want to make sure that I'm approaching new connections and, new relationships with people out there who I see channeling light language from a place of trust and understanding. But I do want to say to use your discernment when it comes to who you listen to, who channels light language. Because unfortunately, there are people out there who refuse to do the work, who refuse to clear the entities, who refuse to clear the emotional baggage from their field, and are channeling through a distorted lens. So with all of that in mind, again, use your discernment. And if you ever see a light language activation or video out there or see someone new who's preaching a light language course, really feel the frequency in your body. Is this something I want around me? Is this something I want in my field? If it feels triggering to you or weird or off or distorted, it is not a clear channel. It is not a clear channeled frequency. So nope, we're going to set that aside. We're going to let that go. But with that in mind, once you've cleared your channel, then your possibilities for who you want to channel start to open up. So you can channel different galactic groups if you want to. You can channel, perhaps you have one specific star family group of guides that you channel. Or maybe it's your higher self. The possibilities really are limitless. And again, you can channel specific frequencies because of an intention. Like let's say I want to channel a light language activation that's going to help you feel less stressed, less anxiety. I can set that intention and I can ask for that frequency to come through my body. Or let's say I want to channel a frequency to help you feel loved unconditionally. I can set that intention. I can channel that frequency through my body. And again, it's taken me a couple years to get here. Since that first original light language awakening in 2022, it's been literally 2 years, almost to the day, of me being able to film this podcast episode for you. So it has taken a lot of dedicated time and effort for me to be able to get here. So this is not something that's going to activate for you overnight necessarily, and it's going to take you some time to learn it, to go inwards, to work with your spirit team, to figure out what light language means for you and how it's meant to come through your unique vessel. Now, when I really got deep into this journey, I started getting some intuitive sense of knowingness that it would be time for me to teach this, because there really aren't a lot of people out there who teach this. And I wanted to make sure that I am offering a safe space for people who want to discover this gift to be able to tap into it for themselves. So I, in a very excited way, launched my light language lessons mentorship at the beginning of 2024 and taught the first round during Q1 of this year. And it was such a cool experience because we met every single week for about 2 hours a week. And I fully surrendered to the experience, fully surrendered to my channel. And every single week we heard from different galactic beings, different galactic groups who had different messages that taught the ladies and the members of the group to be able to discern different frequencies and feel different frequencies in their body and start to clear their own channels. So to me, I want to say that there are 3 sacred aspects to the light language process. This is something I teach in my mentorship. This is something that I have really learned through my experience. The light language process is a bit of a pyramid. So on the left side, going up the pyramid, we have the ascension process. This is the process of raising your vibration. When you go through that initial light language awakening, perhaps it's learning about it, listening to this podcast episode, maybe you get a massage like I did that helps awaken your gift. That activation works as a sacred portal for raising your vibration. So if your vibration is high enough, it's a natural process for your channel to be open enough to be able to receive these light codes. Now, I could not have channeled light language 8, 9, 10 years ago in my early 20s when I was working in the corporate world and was not very spiritually awakened at all, right? It wouldn't have made sense. I vibrationally wouldn't have understood it. I wouldn't have gotten it. It wouldn't have worked. So your vibration has to be high enough. And for those of you who are listening, I mean, you've already found this podcast episode. So congratulations, your vibration is already quite high. But it still takes some dedicated work to continue to raise your vibration, to let go of the things that keep your vibration low, and to do the things that keep your vibration high, like meditating, breath work, all of the things that we do. Now, the next part of the sacred triangle is the right side. And this is the process of dissension, descending into the physical body. So we're raising our frequency, which is a very energetic thing, but we also have to bring ourselves, our higher dimensional frequencies, into the physical body. Because you can't channel light language if you don't have a body. You gotta have a body. It has to come through the body. And this is the piece I think that's hardest for most of us, because a lot of us have a very twisted, torn, what's the word I want to use here? Distorted relationship with our physical body because of health issues, because of body self-esteem, because of the way the media looks at the physical body. And we have a really sometimes distorted relationship with the body itself. And so because of that, this process forces you so hard to be into the body. It grounds you so quickly. I had to surrender and let go of control when it came to leaning into my physical vessel. And for someone who likes to be in control, trust me, this has not been an easy surrendering process, but it's something I had to go through because I desperately wanted to activate my light language gift. So you have to ground into the body. So that's the next sacred step of the pyramid. And finally is energetic neutrality at the bottom of the pyramid. So that energetic neutrality is the quiet space and time for your light language to come through. The piece of it that most people don't want to hear is that I can't just activate your light language for you and then you go off and all of a sudden you're channeling light language codes, right? That's what you want to happen. I know that's what you want to happen. And if there's any teacher out there who promises you that that will happen, don't work with them. Because here's the thing. You have to create the sacred space and time for this to come through your channel organically. I activate you. I give you the divine guidance. I give you different processes and techniques for opening up. But ultimately, you have to be the one to create 20 minutes out of your day, maybe 10 minutes, however long you feel like you need to sit in quiet space and time to be open to how your light language wants to come through. And if you're not doing that, then it's going to be really challenging for this third piece of the puzzle to come to pass, right? You need to create that quiet time. Just like if you want to connect with your spirit guides or any divine being, you need to connect with them maybe through meditation or automatic writing, but ultimately you're creating quiet space and time for that to happen. So those three facets of the pyramid, the ascension, the dissension, and the energetic neutrality, create this beautiful process of allowing your light language to begin to come through. And again, this is something that I teach in more depth in my light language mentorship. So if you are listening to this episode and you're feeling into your body, you're feeling the activation, you're feeling some type of way about this, and you are desiring that deeper connection to your own light language, then I would love to teach you how to tap into your own light language in my light language lessons mentorship. So that course is currently open for enrollment. We're going to be getting started in May. So if you're listening to this episode in April, it's perfect divine timing because you can still join us. So I will leave the link below in the show notes for coming into that course. It's a 6-week course. It's not a terribly long mentorship, but we do meet weekly for about 2 hours a week. And we do a lot of live channeling. It is so fun. It is so high vibrational. I promise this is going to be the best part of your week, and you are going to want to show up for every single call. It's going to just make your day, I swear. The ladies in the last round of the mentorship loved it. And of course, you can join this with any gender, right? However you identify, you're more than welcome to come into this mentorship because this course, Light Language, teaches the language of the soul, right? And so we're all connecting with that higher dimensional version of ourselves when we do this work. So with all of that being said, I'm going to leave you with a short light language activation today that's just going to help you ground more deeply into the body. It's going to help you relax. It's going to help you feel good so that you can leave this podcast episode perhaps feeling a bit lighter and brighter than when you first started it. So all you need to do is just take a moment. If you're moving around, you don't need to stop or pause, although you can if you need to take a second just to take a moment for yourself. But whatever you're doing, I want you to just gently notice how you feel in this moment because it's going to shift after this light language activation. If you would like, you can put one hand on your heart. And if you're able to slow down, you may want to close your eyes and just relax and receive. And I want to receive your permission to give this light language activation to you. So all you have to do is say yes right now. And this is coming from my soul and my higher self, all right? So here we go. Eshwati sakya, eshwatiakya diwe, shatapui, eswatiasi, ekotia, ekrue, ekotiaki, ekosa, eshwatiaki siti, upitiasitiakshte, erotia, eroka sitiaki, ekotia sitiakwatia shitia. Oshitia sitia kita ikotia sipi erotia modia sitia chitiaki shutapa sutia siti ekotia erotia siti oshitiakati Etwa. Eshuti. E. And they want you to take a deep breath in through your nose, breathing deeply into your body. Exhaling to release, letting the rest go. And all of my guides on my spirit team want you to know that you are so unconditionally loved, that you are a gift, you are a miracle to this planet. Thank you for being here. Thank you for existing at this time. I hope this episode filled you with joy and perhaps an excitement to unlock something new on your divine journey. So thank you so much for listening. From my heart to yours, I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.